Good morning, grade 10s. Hopefully you guys are having a great morning. I know after an exciting math lesson, you guys are all rushing to get ready for English this morning. So just as I'm waiting for you guys to get in, can you make sure you give me a green check mark in Blackboard so that I know you guys are ready to go? And just as we, that's why I made that comment, Alex. So just as we're waiting to start today's lesson, ladies and gentlemen, and pick up where we started last day, just some little bit of different or housekeeping items that I wanted to go over before we actually get into today's lesson. All right, good. So I see everyone's good, giving me green check marks. Thank you. Looks like we got a tiny class this morning. So we'll have to make do with how many people are here. So before we actually get started, ladies and gentlemen, what I'd like to do, I'm just going to bring up the course because I got a great email from Ava this morning asking me, and I wanted to let everyone know about this. She was asking me about the provincial exam. So my advice for you guys for the provincial, remember, and I've kind of been saying this throughout the whole year so far, you guys, you can't really study for the English provincial exam. You really can't. It's skill-based, okay? So what you need to do, my biggest advice, if you do feel that you need to prepare for it, is remember up in our English 10 links, I've got the link straight to the provincial exam site right there. And if you go there, okay, it will give you a couple of different exams, okay, and it will show you sample exams. So if you guys want to go take a look, read through the exams, I'm not suggesting that you actually do them. If you want to do them, feel free. The answer key is there as well. So you can even just use it in conjunction with the answer key just to go through and get a feel. Okay. Remember, usually section A is all multiple choice. They give you two pieces of text. A piece of text, and it'll just ask you some multiple choice questions on it. All right. And then there's usually a piece of fiction, like a short story, and then or a poem. And then there's usually a piece of nonfiction. So a short article or something like that you have to compare and contrast with some multiple choice questions. And then there's the multi-paragraph essay. So take a look. You will notice there's a theme that runs through all the provincial exams. They look the same. The only thing I say you can study for is your literary devices. Really, that's the only thing you can study for. And again, you guys remember that I've given you that link as well within the course if you want to go get that. Okay. Abby, great question. Okay. I just started marking them this morning while you guys were in math. So if you did not hand in your last 5-paragraph essay on, or the multi-paragraph essay on culture from that prompt that I gave you guys, then you have already gotten a 0. Those of you that already have handed it in, I think I've only marked Alex's. I think that's as far as I got this morning. So after class today, the rest of you will have that mark. Now, saying that is the last major mark for English. Okay. There's one more thing I want to add to that. Okay. And that is, and I'm going to give you guys some time today to complete this. I want you to do another conversation self-assessment. It's the exact same assignment that you guys did in the first term for me around our conversations that we have here in Blackboard, on Life Size, and through our classroom and our field trips. Okay. So I want you to do the exact same thing. And this will be for term 2, right? This is that self-assessment. Saying that, That is the last major thing. So the 5-paragraph essay on culture and the conversation self-assessment, that's the end of English. That will be your mark going into the provincial exam. So by the end of, I'm going to say by the end of the week, because I'm going to put some realistic expectations on myself. By the end of this week, you will know what your mark is going into the provincial exam. All right? Secondly, now, the First Nations Independent Novel Study that I've got in there, you guys, that we started a couple of days ago, this is now, I'm going to shift this unit over to social studies. So I have not marked your Google Earth assignment or anything like that. Okay. So that's going to count towards your social studies mark. All right. I want to make that very clear. So this unit is right here, this conversation self-assessment is your mark cutoff for English. All right. So once you've handed in everything for English, you're fantastic. Now, so Belle, I see you just joined in late. Really, the only definitions that you need to know, Belle, like I said, for the English provincial is the literary devices. And honestly, they only ask you like one multiple choice question on a literary device. So even if you don't know it, take a guess. That's it. All right. So Taylor, I don't know if you're talking about, I don't know what you're in reference to. Are you in reference to the cultural essay? If you are, it's out of 10, just like all your other essays. Yes. So Abby, remember we are doing kind of like a cross-curricular social studies English unit that's kind of transitioning us into social studies. So yeah, that's what we're transitioning right now into social studies. So we're still going to be doing a lot of reading. We're still going to be doing a novel, but it's going to have a lot of social studies content built in to what we talk about during class time. All right. So hopefully I made that very clear, you guys. And now we can get started on today's lesson and bring us back to what we were discussing last day as well. So I'm just going to bring up my PowerPoint again here, you guys. All right. So last class, we were talking about cultural values and how those cultural values are perceived around the world. All right. Now what we want to do is kind of bring it in even a little bit more. And we're going to start looking to, about our own values in our own culture. Okay. So here we go. Today's learning targets. This is the I can statements that I want you guys, okay, to really focus on. By the end of the class, I want you guys to be able to see this and say, yes, I can totally do that. So number 1 is I can identify the factors that influence my culture. And number 2, I can understand the differences that may occur between other cultures. Those are the 2 big learning targets that we have for today's lesson. Okay. So here's our agenda for today though, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do another chalk and talk because I found that very, very successful last class. And I want to talk about that a little bit more. And again, we'll use the whiteboard for that. Then we're going to do a quick think, pay, or share and a share out to the classroom around those factors. Then your assignment for today is going to be creating a cultural web that is personal to you. And we'll do a little bit of co-constructing criteria around what we're looking for that web. And then we'll do a reflection at the end of the class about what we learned today. So here we go. I want to start with the chalk and talk, and I will bring up on my background here the blackboard in a second so you guys can see it. One little tip for you guys that we did last time when we did the chalk and talk, your guys' text, when you put in a text box, was very, very tiny and hard to read. So if anyone went back to review the live stream classroom video, they would have had a really hard time reading what everyone wrote on the chalk and talk. So can you make sure that when you put a text box in, that your font is big enough that everyone can read it? All right. Let's get that clear right away. Okay. Now, thinking about the last lesson that we did, you guys, all right, remember we used Google Earth and we looked up those 5 or 6 cities, right? And you looked at the tallest building and what does that say about that culture? Okay. What factors do you think influenced those cultures, how they developed? So that's kind of where I want to go. That's the big question I want to pose to you guys on the Chalk and Talk. So I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes and the same thing. I've given you whiteboard privilege and I just want you guys, and again, remember to really make those connections between what other people are saying. Feed off of each other's ideas. All right. That's really, really important. So I'm going to bring up Blackboard here. Awesome. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller and just so you guys can see the chalk and talk there. All right. So let's put up 10 minutes and I'll let you guys answer that question and I'll type the question into Blackboard as well. So you guys can have that frame of reference as well. So go ahead, you guys, get started. Good, ladies and gentlemen. I see some fantastic connections being made. Please don't stop. Just finish up what you're doing, okay? Because I can still see some interaction happening on the whiteboard there. So please don't stop if that's what you are doing. All right. Fantastic work, you guys. Just reading through some of the comments and the connections that you guys started making. It's actually hard for me to sit back. So this time I didn't sit back. I actually joined in on your conversation, you guys, with you this time. So I saw some really good factors. Okay. And hopefully you guys had a chance to read through, other people's comments as well. Great job. I'm thinking maybe that's a heart in the background. That someone's trying to draw. All right, good. I'm just going to bring up my PowerPoint again, you guys, so we came up with lots of factors. All right. Now, what I want to talk, I'm just going to go back because really the factors that we saw, and again, actually, I'm going to go back to the whiteboard there. The factors that really stood out to me, you guys, that you guys stated were landscape, right? Religion. There was history, architecture, influence from other cultures, all those different things, traditions, there are a multitude of more because you can even make subcategories within a lot of those other categories, right? So fantastic work. All of those things influence cultures. Okay. So I'm glad you guys are pulling out those factors. Now, what I want to do, just as we're thinking about those factors, now's the time where I actually want to just get into a quick think, pair, share, okay, in partners. What I want you to think about is your own culture. Now, you can look at this from a lot of different perspectives. When I say your own culture, you could be thinking the North American culture. You could be thinking the Canadian culture. You could even be a little bit more specific and start thinking about, if your background is Aboriginal, maybe you're looking at it as an Aboriginal culture, right? If you come from Europe, maybe you're looking at it from a European culture. It really depends on your own personalization of what you define as your culture. It can even be, well, Taylor, I don't know if you can actually separate those. I think that religion is, it's a part of culture, right? Like we stated in our Chalk and Talk, we thought that culture or religion was a factor that influences culture. So it may not for you personally, Taylor, okay? But it definitely does play into a lot of people's culture. So you need to keep that in mind as we're talking with other people about culture in general. For sure. And if you come from a specific city that is defined by a culture, absolutely. Okay. So you may even find that your culture is related to Kelowna or wherever it is that you come from, right? Those things can tie in. So it's different for everybody. Okay. And that's where this actually conversation, as you guys are typing up within your questions here and stuff, this is what we're actually going to talk about. So think about for yourself what culture means to you and how you define culture for yourself. And then what we're going to do is you're going to think about it. I'm going to give you some think time for yourself. And then we're going to pair up, have a discussion, and then we're going to do a quick share out so that everyone can see what everyone was talking about. So I'm going to ask you guys just to think, okay? What factors influence how you see the world? Looking back at that Chalk and Talk, or are there other factors for how you see the world? Are the factors different between other students? Okay. So those are the two big idea questions that I want to pose to you guys. All right. I want you to think. I'm going to give you 1 minute No sharing yet. I want you to think and formulate some answers to those 2 questions. Then we'll come back, we'll pair up, and we'll go to the next step. So you have 1 minute just to think about those factors and how they influence you and your world within your culture. Okay, 1 minute. All right, so there's your 1 minute to think. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pair up, and again, just in a private chat, okay? I want you guys to discuss with your partner those 2 questions. What are you guys thinking about? What are some, ideas that are popping into your head? Are there any questions that you have, right? Around maybe even your own culture and what you're thinking. So in the participant list, you guys can see, I'm just going to nice and easy pair you guys up, and we're just going to go straight from the bottom to the top. All right. So if Abby and Alex can go together, Anna and Ava, Avery Bell, Bria Damon, Haley, Sophia, and Taylor, I'll actually go with you. All right? Because I actually am frantically typing to you actually as we speak, Taylor. So, all right, let's take 5 minutes to now pair up and think and discuss, think and discuss about these 2 questions, all right? And then we'll come back and share. All right. I still see the chat quickly going. So just finish up what you were saying. Okay. And we'll definitely continue on here, you guys. Okay. Shayna, you're actually coming in at a great point in the lesson. We're just finishing up a quick think, pair, share. So just hang on and you can join in 2 seconds here. All right. Fantastic. I know Taylor and I had a great conversation. And I can see from what everyone else was writing on the blackboard here that I think everyone else did as well. So the last part of think, pair, share, we've thought about it ourselves on an individual basis. Then we paired up and talked about what we thought. Now what I want to do is do a quick share out to the rest of the room so that you guys can see what other students were talking about so that we can hit that second part of our questions. Are the factors different from other students? So in between us, did we see differences coming up about what we thought our culture was influenced by? All right. So what I'm going to ask you guys is now to share out to the room one thing that you found fascinating that your partner said. Okay. So it's not one thing that you took from the conversation. What was one thing that your partner said that you found really interesting? And I'd like to share that into the room chat, please. So let's take a few minutes. I'm going to actually bring up the Blackboard chat for this one. So you guys feel free to take 2 minutes and type into the room chat what you guys felt was the one thing that your partner said that was fantastic. Perfect. Awesome, you guys. I love how even more factors are now coming into play, right? When we take a look at when we start talking to our classmates about this, It's so different. It starts out with, religion to architecture to landscape to geography, all these conversations. And then it comes down to choices, our mental health, our uniqueness, right? All those different things play into culture and how different it is. So I think we did answer that second question, right? How different it is even just between student to student. It's a very unique situation to everybody else, right? So that's very, very interesting how you guys just keep pulling out different aspects of culture, right? I know, Taylor, I totally thought of that too. And I loved Alex's point about choices. The choices we make influence how we are as a culture, right? Even if you think about how we set up our government, right? Democracy is all about choices, supposedly, should be, right? And that all has to play into our culture as well and how we define our culture and how it evolves through time. Huge. All right. So now that we have, I think, a deeper understanding about our own culture, and I think that'll keep evolving as you guys delve deeper and deeper into this assignment. Now what I want you guys to do is now we're going to see those differences, I'm hoping, because everyone's going to create their own culture web. All right. Now, you all know, I'm hoping, since you are in grade 10, what a web looks like, right? You've got some sort of factor in the middle, and then it just spreads out, and you can see all the connections, right? So that's what you guys are going to do. You're going to be using the factors that we've determined here as a class and any others that you guys think that influence you. All right. Now, how you're going to set up this web is as follows. I just did a quick little sample, you guys. This took me like 3 minutes. I hope that you guys do a much better job. All right. You are going to be located in the middle of your web, just like I am here. And then surrounding you is going to be all the factors that influence your own personal culture. Okay. So for me, I just chose 2 really quick because I wanted to show you guys specifically what I was looking for. All right. So for me, traditions is one. Okay. Traditions really defines my own personal culture. So customs and again, I could even go off of that because it ties into family, right? So customs that my parents grew up with have been passed down from generation to generation, and they're being passed on to my children. And I gave a specific example, right? Celebrating the holidays with big turkey dinners, right? And all the family gathered around the table. That's a specific tradition that's been passed down, and it's creating that culture for me. Okay. Another example that I gave was geography. This is a big one that's defined in my life because I've lived all around BC, and I think is a unique experience. I've lived up north. And so when I say north, I mean really far north, right? And I've lived in Fort Nelson. And then I gave a specific example, right? Because I lived in Fort Nelson, I was introduced to that extreme weather that influences me so much now that I enjoy nature and that impact that nature has on me. Okay. So you'll also notice that I've used some images to make my presentation visually appealing, right? That's big. Yeah. And Prince George. That's right, Avery. I've also lived there. That's where I'm from, right? So those are big. Now, I'm just going to go back a slide because now I'll tell you the criteria because I can see you guys typing, right? Oh my God, what does Miss Ward expect? Now listen, this is just my ideas. We can change this. This is where that co-construction comes in. Okay. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of criteria though, so that you had an idea and engage with the material. So obviously you're located in the middle of the web. Okay. Because this is all about you. I want your factors all around me. Okay. That's where I went as well, Taylor, UMBC. Yeah. Played basketball for them. All right. So the factors are going to be all around you. Make sure your factors are clearly labeled so you can see in my example, right, that mine were clearly labeled, right? I bolded them. They were larger than the rest of my text, that sort of thing. Make sure that your factors are supported with a specific example. Right? I told you about my family tradition, about turkey dinner. I told you about my experience living in Fort Nelson. Those are specific examples. Don't be general, be specific. And then I would like some images in there. I would like an image to support each of those factors just to really have that visual appeal. Now, is there any others that you might think that needs to be important? I know some questions were coming up. I'm sorry, Abby, I'm just reading what you wrote here. Yeah, a lot of people are going to be like, how many factors should we have? Right? So I just want to look at this. So what do you guys think? Should there even be an amount? I'm just going to put a text box in here, you guys. So you are in the middle. That's the number one. Okay. Number two, factors surrounding you, like a web. So you need to see the connection. Okay. To you, and to other factors, because the factors might overlap, right, you guys? Okay. Yeah. So we need some specific examples for each factor. Don't just leave a factor hanging, right? Images, right? To support examples, factors. Okay. What else? Okay. So, Alex, what makes you say that? So Alex is saying no amount. Some of you are saying 4, 5. So it's up to you guys. I think as long as you are clear on listing all your factors. Okay. Okay, so let's say this. Let's make a minimum then. Let's go a minimum, I think, of 5. And if you want to do more than that, fantastic. So Anna, we're on the same page, right? There should be, but I'm going to up you 1. I think there should be at least 5. Okay. Anything else, you guys, that you think? Oh, I know. There should be a title. And that's totally fine, Alex. I would like you to list those insignificant factors. Okay? Because they're still factors. You betcha 2 might be the major factors. And Alex, that's a great point. So maybe make those 2 factors the focus, right, of your web. But then maybe you do have some other littler insignificant factors that still play a role, but not as much as those 2 major ones. Maybe in your visual appeal, you really get that point across within your web, right? Anything else, you guys, that you want to add? Now, Taylor, great. You guys, I can see you guys thinking about this. Now, yeah. Perfect. And then Anna, maybe if tradition and family is your big 2 personal factors, but then you can think of little sub ones on there, right? Absolutely. But I think you should come up with at least 5 factors, whether they're major or minor. All right. I think you guys have hit it all. Now your big questions are becoming, and I will type this up nicely, you guys, and I'll actually put it into the assignment. I always like co-creating with you guys first though, right? So there we go. That's what we've said then for criteria. And again, we'll put that into the assignment as soon as I get back. Now you guys are probably thinking, how do we do this? In the actual assignment, I have stated what you guys can do. It's a little bit more voice and choice again. I'll just bring up the actual assignment for you guys. So it's called Determining Our Own Cultural Values. And if you scroll down, I'm trying to see, where did I put it, you guys? Oh, here we go. Step 1. You need to decide if you are going to do this the old-fashioned way on good old paper, or if you're going to showcase your technological skills. Okay? So this is your choice how you actually present this web to me. You can do it the good old-fashioned way and do it on a piece of paper and submit that. If you want to take a photo of it, submit it, or however you want to get it to me. Or if you want to showcase your technological skills and put it on your Weebly somehow, create a web on your Weebly, on your English page, absolutely, and submit the hyperlink. If you find a whole new web tool that you want to use, maybe you find a great web tool, then great, do that. You could always do a screen capture, submit it, put it on your Weebly, submit it that way. I'm giving you guys some voice and choice on this one. And with all those fantastic new ADC skills that you have, you will figure it out. Good. Yep, absolutely, Taylor. That'll work as well. If you just want to do it on Word and submit it on Moodle, absolutely. Just make sure that you are hitting all the criteria, okay, that we've done. Okay. So, yeah. And Anna, if you want to do it that way as well, fantastic. I'll actually put up some of these questions, you guys, so you can see. So Anna was asking, even if we do put it on, paper, can we still put it on a Weebly? Absolutely. If you want to take a picture of it and put it on your Weebly, absolutely. Okay. Ava, I don't know if I can open up those